Kigali Farms is a social enterprise. I started in 2010 with the idea of fighting malnutrition through mushrooms. And so we've been focusing on oyster mushrooms initially because they're a type of mushroom that's relatively easy to grow. They grow fast, you can get very high yields on small surfaces. So it's a good fit for small farmers. So we focused on that first, and after a few years of doing this, we added button mushrooms. The reason is that we realized that having an enterprise that was only social, only focusing on the base of the pyramid was difficult financially to make successful. It was like trying to balance a unicycle. It's fun, but it's not easy and you don't get very far. So by adding a second wheel for cash flow, more a business wheel, we have a bicycle. And with that we can go very far and very fast. So we have two types of mushrooms, oyster mushrooms for social impact and button mushrooms for cash flow. How do we work with the farmers? It took us several years, a good 6 years, to develop a model that worked well with the farmers. Because growing the mushrooms themselves is not so difficult, but creating an entire value chain that integrates the small farmers in sometimes remote areas and that can be profitable for everybody along the chain was not easy to set up. So we went through various iterations, and how we operate now is that we go into communities, we find out if people are interested in growing mushrooms, but then we want the mushrooms to be grown in the best possible conditions. And so what we do is we rent a piece of land and we build the mushroom houses ourselves at our expense. And because in this way we guarantee that the farmer will be working in the correct environment and will get high yields on their investment. A normal mushroom cycle is 3 months. So the farmers buy the substrate, we call it the tubes or the substrate, on which they will grow the mushrooms. They put it in that mushroom house, the growing house, which we make available for them for 3 months. And then they can grow in that grow house with our technical assistance. The mushrooms, of course, are theirs to keep and theirs to sell as they see fit. But we also realized over time that it's useful to help farmers access markets. Because they have two types of clients. The farmers, they try to sell, when we have large production, they try to sell in urban markets like Goma or Kigali. And then when there's some surplus, smaller production on some days, they sell locally in the local community. My personal goal, the company's goal, of course, is that there be more sales over time in the local communities to help fight malnutrition. But the people who grow the mushrooms, for them it's a business, so they need to be able to access the urban markets as well as be able to sell to their neighbors and to their communities.
Kigali Farm yatubereye ababyeyi batugurisha imigina, bamara kutugurisha imigina nyuma yaho ntibarekereye bakakomeza bakadukurikirana kugira ngo badufashe kubijyanye n'umusaruro tuba turi kubona, barebe ko umusaruro wakwigira imbere. Badufasha gushaka amasoko cyane ko abagiye dufite umusaruro mwinshi, akenshi na kenshi bakadufasha no kugeza umusaruro ku isoko. Ibyo byose ni inyungu Kigali Farm tuyifiteho n'umumaro igenda itumarira.
Kubera igihingwa cy'ibihumyo byatumye imirire yacu irushaho kwiyongera, byamfashije no kurihira abana. Umfite umwana uri muri metirize, hagira uri muri lisanse, hagira n'undi uri segonderi muri 5e. Ashoboye no kwibakira inzu, ibamo sima n'umuriro n'amazi. Ubu nta kibazo mfite mu rugo, kandi ndoroye ingurube, inkwavu n'inka, byose ndabifite mbikeje igihumyo.
What's been interesting about Oxfam as an organization is they've really understood very well the model that we have of being a social enterprise, but also needing a more traditional business. The model of having both a component for social impact and a component for cash flow and business. And Oxfam gets that this is basically the way forward. That it's going to be very difficult to have a business model that is only social, and of course not very interesting if it's a business model that is only business. So Oxfam understood that, and they've been supporting us with a combination of grants for the social component and then loans that are with guarantees for the more equipment side of things.
Nkabanza ngashimira mwebwe Oxfam kuko tuzi ko Kigali Farm yonyine itabyishoboza mutayibaye hafi.
We wouldn't be here if Oxfam hadn't been supporting us along the way. And then an even bigger thank you for just the psychological support, the fact that we know that the people from Oxfam, whether it's at Oxford or the country managers here, clearly understand what we do, appreciate what we do, and make sure to support us when we need them.